It may give you a little better performance on your machine. To ask a question, you can use the chat to ask a question, or you can hold it until the end of the presentation. And even the chats I won't get to until the end of the presentation. The handout is currently out on the PC Club website in the past meetings page. And Jim will be posting it to the chat in a few minutes just to give people who might log in a little bit of time there. Okay. Agenda, we'll cover some club status things first, and then we'll get to our main topic. Future meeting, there is a MaxSig coming up this Friday, May 19th. And so if you do have an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac, it's worthwhile joining them, and certainly you can attend both these meetings. Our next question and answer session is June 6th, and so that'll be Tuesday, June 6th. And our next meeting is scheduled for June 21st. Again, it'll be at 11:30. You have the in-person option to attend here at St. Paul, or you can attend by the web there. If you're going to attend in person, we do need you to sign up beforehand, but as most of the people here can attest, it's not a big deal there. Our topic on the 21st of June is going to be organizing and storing digital documents. I'll talk about how to gather your important documents, how to set up a file system, and where to store these documents. So we'll talk about the cloud, we'll talk about backing up, we'll talk about a whole bunch of things if you have documents, a little bit of scanning, how to accumulate and organize these things. Okay, this is a save the date. The board has been talking about what we can do this year and whether we'd hold the picnic or not hold the picnic. And the picnic in the past is quite a bit of work for the board and the volunteers that would help. Plus, it's a case of to reserve the pavilion. That was costing us $250, or I think, or $270 or something like that. Anyway, it keeps going up there. But anyway, it was fairly expensive, and I would imagine everything. This isn't Tartan. This is
Tartan. No. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tartan is all gone. There's I don't know what condo, if you want a condo there.
Tartan is now called Royal Oak Golf Course.
Yeah. so Tartan is no longer there, but we were talking about what we could do, and Paula came up with a good option there. The Green Mill, they have an outdoor patio, and so she's been doing some checking, and it looks like we've settled on a date and stuff like that. So it looks like it'll be Wednesday, July 12th, from 4:30 to 6:30. At this point, we're just reserving the date. You can't register yet because the board has to work out some of the details on how much we'll subsidize and what the cost will be there. But the cost and the sign up will be coming up in June there.
But we are confirmed with them, to be clear.
We are confirmed with the date
we
and
got our buffet all set up, so it is confirmed.
and Paula's saying that we are confirmed, and so it's just a matter of some of these final details, and then we'll give you information. It'll be a pasta buffet and cake. If you're vegetarian, they'll have vegetarian plate or that, so we will be able to accommodate both. But it'll be outdoors on the patio unless it's raining. Then we'll be inside, but the plan is to be outside so we get kind of that picnic feel. Okay. Our officers, Jim is our president, Linda Brown is our vice president, Paul is our membership, Paula is our treasurer, Chuck is our recording secretary, Mike leads the MaxSig, Andrew is our communication coordinator. My name's Tom Kreuzer. I'm a director at large, and we couldn't do it without a number of the volunteers. And this is the picture from the last time we got together at the picnic. Hopefully we'll have as many people in July, or we'll see how the green mill goes there. Members old and new, you can pay your dues to Paul. Paul sends out a notice when your membership is expiring, and everybody's membership starts and ends on the day that they join the club. So everybody could be a different month there. So it's not like in December everybody gets a notice there. But also a reminder, if you are changing your email, be sure and notify us, because that's how we keep in touch, and that's how these different notices are sent out. If you do have suggestions for topics, you can email or talk to any of the board members. If you want to volunteer to present on any piece of hardware or software you're using, that'd be great. Could be something at home, could be something at work. If you don't want to present, we do have our monthly eBytes newsletter, and you can write a short, meaning a sentence or two, or a long article about your experience with a piece of software or hardware that you're using. Our website, we send out the link and all the emails there, but that has past meetings, slides, and handouts. And then we always try and record the meeting and put that out there also. So if you've missed any of the meetings or want to revisit any of the meetings, you can go out to the site and get the information there. We also have a deals section and our eBytes newsletter. Okay, let's get to the main topic, setting up your new PC. And I showed an old friend down here in the bottom right-hand corner. This is the original IBM PC there, and although the first PC actually didn't, it looked exactly like this, but it didn't come with disk drives. You just had the tape, the cassette tape interface, and it was extra to get the disk drives, and the disk drives were only single-sided 5 1/4 inch floppies. But the keyboard was heavy, but it was a beautiful keyboard with tactile feedback.
Yep.
And not like the cheaper ones, but you paid for it. I think the original price, I had a brother-in-law working for IBM, and I got the IBM employee discount. That was, and they could take it out of your paycheck, because at that time it was $4,000. And at the time, I think I was making $16,000 or $17,000 at 3M. So times have changed. I'm glad PCs and phones and everything cost what they cost. But anyway, I digress. Maybe we'll have a topic sometime on old nostalgia.
I had just that one in 1989.
Okay.
No, it wasn't new, it was a hand-me-down.
So the topics that we'll cover today, a few major steps here. I'll just go over those real quick here. Is step one is what to do on the old PC. So there's some things before you even get the new computer that you can do on the old PC. The second one is to connect the new PC, what you should do there. Third is uninstall and delete packages on the new PC. Fourth step, transfer your old data and software. And then I've got some other tips in there. And then at the end, I'll also talk about what precipitated this is I recently went through and upgraded my desktop at home from Windows 10 to Windows 11 and bought a new machine there. So I'll talk about that experience. Okay, first one, what to do on the old PC. And again, you can do this before your PC arrives or you buy it. Just keep track of this information here. And number one, I recommend that you start the Windows settings and open the apps window. This will give you an inventory of most of the installed software on the old PC. It also lists programs that you need on the new PC, or list the programs that you want to have on the new PC and which ones you don't really care about moving over or need anymore. Another way to get this list, and actually the preferred method that I use every time I get a new machine and that is I use a package. There's a free package called the BellArc Advisor, and this BellArc Advisor is software that'll go through and create a file with your hardware and your software, an inventory of everything that you have. And let's take a quick look at that. Let me see here. Where am I? Oh, maybe I didn't load it. Didn't load it here. Let me. It's a PDF file I saved it at. And so this is a PDF file from the BellArc Advisor. It goes through and lists your operating system, your hardware that's attached, your things like that. So you have all that. But the nice thing that I like, especially in migrating here, is it'll list all the software that's on your machine and the versions, and you can see it indicates whether it's a 32-bit version or a 64-bit version. It'll list all the different software that you have on here. So I'll start out with this, and I'll just take a pen or a highlighter, and I'll highlight the software that I want to make sure that I get set up on my new machine. There's going to be other things in here, certainly, that you don't have to migrate or worry about or do anything, but this is a quick list to go down here. And like you can see in my case, it's just a couple of pages there. And it's going to list everything from A to Z. So I've got Zoom, I've got TurboTax, I've got Apple, iTunes software on there. I've got all kinds of things. But it gives you that quick list. The other way to get that list, if you're not using things like the BellArc Advisor, is I was talking about if you go to the Start menu, go into the settings, and you'll see in here, here's apps. And so if I open up apps here, this will give me a list of apps that are installed on this machine. And so you can see here it found 100 apps installed on this machine here. And you could go through this. I like the BellArc because I can just take my pen and highlight, but if you wanted to do it, you could just write down the ones. So there's GNU Cache and Chrome and Handbrake, and I have a HEIF image converter. So it's some of these things I don't use that often that I'd forget if I just went and started a list. But going into either this or the BellArc Advisor is going to give you that list of packages that you're working on. Let's go back.
Question while we're at it.
Yep.
Doesn't BellArc also give you your product keys?
In some cases, it'll give you your product keys, so that can be very handy, and so yeah, you do some of the Microsoft stuff. It's very good at. Some of the other stuff, it doesn't have access to the keys or that. So also on the old computer, if you don't already have a folder, I recommend that you create a folder in your documents area and call it New PC. And this New PC folder is where you can store all these things that you may accumulate over the years. And that could be drivers, special drivers that you need for, let's say, your webcam or a scanner or a camera that you have. Could be program updates, could be exported settings that you're going to be doing that we'll talk about, and things that you want to get moved to that new PC, and how to do certain installs and that. You'll see me talking about this directory because this directory becomes a place for you to store the information about what you went through to set up the new computer, so that next time you have a setup of a new computer, you'll be able to utilize it and make it much faster there. Oh, and by the way, what I'm talking about here is the examples that I'm showing is Windows, but actually it pertains to a lot of different devices and platforms. So if you have a tablet or you have a smartphone, a lot of this stuff is the same. The utilities aren't the same, but you want to take that inventory and you want to start accumulating your information there. If you're not using a password manager, and you've probably heard me preach before, everybody should be using a password manager, but if you're not, collect your login information for your email accounts and your other online services, create a file in this new PC, and put the information in there. Because the last thing you want to do is, when you start setting up and moving stuff over, is be scrambling to look for passwords and things like that. So collect all that information and make sure that you have it. Also, if there's any special networking or wireless settings, wireless passwords, things like that, you want all of that documented. So like my wireless settings to my home network, I maintain that in my password manager. Password manager is a great place to store all kinds of stuff. Doesn't even have to be related to a computer. Doesn't have to be even related to logging on. I just store the stuff in there because it's safe, secure, and it's one spot. Okay, another what you want to do is you want to take an inventory of your hardware. And that hardware, you may have scanners, you may have printers, you may have MP3 players, TV cards, webcams, anything that's connected to the computer. You want to take a inventory, and that's where BellArc can help with that a little bit there. You want to verify that your devices that you plan to move to the new PC are compatible with the new PC. So frequently, if you have things like a scanner, usually those scanners, if it was written for Windows 10, may not work at all in Windows 11. So now's the time to do your due diligence and check to see whether your device will even work with the new operating system that your new computer may have. So you can check that out. If you have an old webcam, again, webcams are notorious for not working with new versions, and in which case, if you are getting a new version, a Windows 11, and there's no driver for your old thing, you're going to have to be buying new devices there. And if there are new devices, drivers, or anything special there, you want to make sure and download that. And that would be especially true of printers. And I think I'll talk a little bit later about printers getting it set up, but you want the installer set up for the printer for the operating system that you have. You don't just want to plug in the printer and expect everything to work. It unfortunately does not work that way. Your printer will work, but the scanning won't work, and the ink level updates won't work, and a lot of the other features and functions that most printers can do today won't get installed and won't be working.
Online, you're cutting out a lot.
Oh, cutting out. I'm not sure.
Is everybody expecting?
How's the audio for other people there?
Similar. Tom was cutting out a lot, and now the screen is blank.
I still have the screen, but it's on slide 11.
Slide
Okay.
11's right.
Yeah, slide 11's correct here. Well, I guess we're under the control of the Wi-Fi here at 3M, and then depending on your connection and things like that. If you're having trouble with the audio, one option is to, in the note that I sent out, there is a specific, you could use your phone and dial in and get the audio that way, and still look at the screen that I'm sharing through the internet there, but you can get the audio through the dial-in number. If you're still having problems, unfortunately, not much we can do here. This is being recorded, and oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was trying my.
Okay.
I have two suggestions. One, if people have the ability to use the closed caption, on MS Teams. Think we could try that.
Paula has a couple of suggestions. The first is if you have on Teams, you can turn on closed captions, and that will show the little translation to word underneath there. Maybe what I'll do is I'll try and, if it is a weak mic, I'm using a mic and a laptop, I'll move the laptop a little bit closer here. And then you had another suggestion, Paul?
Sometimes in these rooms, what I find is if you turn the laptop a little bit, so like for example, you could put it on that table and bring that chair there, and sometimes just turning the laptop could help with the Wi-Fi signal here, if that's the issue.
If they're getting the screen, if the screen's not breaking up,
Then
but
they're okay.
yeah.
Bonnie's reporting audio coming through good now, so maybe your last shift in your laptop helped.
Yeah, well, and I'm moving it closer. Maybe the mic's certainly on. This is a cheaper laptop too. The mic is not the greatest there. So hopefully I'll try and speak a little bit louder, and we've got it a little closer there. Oh, okay. Number 6 here. Make sure all your files on your old PC are in the Documents directory, the Pictures directory, the Music directory, and the Video directory. Or move them as necessary. That just makes it easier to back up your files, whether you're backing them up to the cloud or you're backing them up to an external device there. If you do have them to the cloud, well, we'll talk about I think one of the later steps there. Locate all your digital music and video that you've downloaded or purchased. If any of them are from, let's say, the iTunes Music Store or other sources that use DRM as Digital Rights Management. Yeah, I was thinking marketing. That doesn't make sense. DMR, so the security on there. You want to make sure that you know how to transfer the license to your new PC. As an example, if you're using iTunes, what you do is you deauthorize an old computer, and then when you install iTunes and you link your account on the new computer, you'll authorize that new computer for all the purchases or downloads that you've made over the years. A step, open your web browser and export all your bookmarks to the new PC folder we talked about. That's if you're not using Sync. So if you are using the Chrome browser or the Microsoft Edge browser, and you've used your account, whether it's a Google account or a Microsoft account, to save your bookmarks and your settings and things like that, Google or Microsoft is automatically backing that stuff up to the cloud, and so when you go to your new machine, all your bookmarks and all your settings and things like that will automatically be installed on the new machine. But if you aren't, now's the time to export your bookmarks and other settings there. Number 9, go to the vendor site and download the full manual for your new PC. So once you know what you're buying, whether it's in the store or online, when you buy a machine today, you don't get the full manual. You usually just get a getting started little pamphlet or that. I want you to go to the vendor website, download, usually it's several hundred pages, if not more. Spend some time looking through the manual. You don't have to read everything, but download it so that if you do have any question or want to check anything out, you'll have the manual ready to go there. You'd be surprised at the number of features that you'll see that you didn't even know the new PC had. So consider it a fact-finding and it'll save you time and trouble down the road. The last step with the old PC is to back up the contents to an external drive, or if you've got cloud storage, make sure it's backed up to cloud storage. Or if you don't have that many files, you might be able to put them on a flash drive. But you want to get all of that, all of the documents and the photos and the music and video backed up there. Okay, step 2, what do you do to connect the new PC? Well, first off, when you start unboxing or taking it out, save all the paperwork and the boxes. This is because if you do need to return the PC, many of the vendors require that you return it in the original shipped packaging. So you want to keep it all. Keep the boxes and packing material at least until your warranty expires. So if it's a 90-day or a 60-day or a year or 2 years, put it up in the attic, put it in the garage, store it away somewhere. Don't throw it out. I've known too many people that have thrown it out. And then electronics, we talked before about it. If the electronics are going to fail, they'll usually fail within the first few weeks of being plugged in and left on. And when it fails and you contact the vendor or that, they'll usually say, ship it back to us or bring it back and we'll give you a new one. Well, if you've gotten rid of everything there, that creates a mess. So keep the stuff. This is another tip here. Take photos of all the labels on the boxes or paperwork that contains serial numbers, model numbers, and activation codes. And these photos you can store in that new PC folder. So again, this is just saves you time and effort down the road when you do have to look things up, or even like my laptop. I can never remember the model of the laptop, and I don't want to have to flip it upside down and things like that. But if I've got it in that folder, I can easily look it up. I can get the serial numbers. I can get all that information very easily. If it did come with any discs, whether it's CD, DVDs, or that, you want to save any of that or any additional setup information or quick start. So you do want to have that information. And that may also have some serial numbers on it and some other information that if you have to call technical support, you might need. You can put the software instructions and discs in Glad bags. I found like the gallon Glad bags work great for keeping everything together. You don't lose some of the small tags or things like that that if you put it in a file folder or things like that get lost. Keep them together so that they don't get separated. This is another tip for the new PC. Plug your PC into a surge protector. So always do that. It's cheap insurance for a power surge or a lightning strike. Static electricity is another danger, especially if you plan to install any components inside your PC. So if you're going to be opening up the PC, you want to buy yourself, it's called an anti-static strip. It loops around your hand and provides grounding so that static electricity cannot jump from your hand to the inside of the computer and zap out your CPU and memory and things like that. And surge protectors, I was fortunate years ago, Excel had a program where you could get a whole house surge protector for like I think $150 or something like that. It was put on the meter, and that protects the entire house. So there are options. I'm sure Excel no longer offers this option, but because we all have so many electronics in our house, you have TVs, you have radios, you have everything in your house is electronic. And if there is a power surge or a lightning strike, that's what takes it out. That's what shortens and kills a lot of these devices. Okay, next step, or we're still connecting here. Connect the keyboard, the mouse, the monitor, and your Ethernet. Or if you have Wi-Fi and don't have an Ethernet, connect your Wi-Fi. Do not connect any other new or old hardware yet. So we're just connecting the basics that came with the machine. Most PCs have both low and high speed USB connections, and they're identified in the manual. That's a good reason to have that manual. If you look on the side, one second there, Hal. If you look on the side of your computer, there's frequently some icons and that kind of will say the speed, but most people can't read that or find it too difficult. So you do want to see which of the ports, because not all the ports on your laptop or your desktop are the same. Yes, Hal.
I have an opinion about using these new modem router combo devices. I just installed one.
Modem router combo. You mean for like from Xfinity or CenturyLink? In the past, for Wi-Fi or your ISP connection, I've recommended usually that most people buy a separate modem and a separate router, and the reason for that is modems rarely need to get updated. They may go on a cycle of about every 7 years. The standards have improved and things like that you'd need a new modem. Wi-Fi routers, every year and a half, there's a new standard. Faster, better, more secure. And you want to take advantage of that. So that may mean every 3 years you buy a new Wi-Fi router to get better performance and things like that. Okay. But these connections that you have on your computer, you want to be familiar with which ones are high speed, which ones are low speed. And so you can look in your manual. And this is especially important when you start hooking up things like a printer or an external drive. You want those to be on the highest speed. Don't hook your mouse or your keyboard into a high-speed port, and then you're hooking your external drive into a port that is 100 times slower. I've seen that with people. People go, this is very slow to copy files. And I go, well, you've got it in the wrong port. Here, we slip it in this port. It goes 100 times faster. So know your machine, hook it into the right port. Okay, next step, turn your machine on and start the setup. If you're using Microsoft Windows, I highly recommend that you have a Microsoft account. Now, you can set up Windows without a Microsoft account, but you're really not taking advantage of the full power unless you have a Microsoft account. You can get a free Microsoft account, and so create it if you don't have one. Okay, once your machine is booted up, the next thing that we want to do is we want to uninstall and delete packages. And so the first thing that you should do, the first concern is, what are you going to do about antivirus? And you have to make that decision, decide what security you want on that new PC. So many of the PCs come with free 30-day or 60-day trials of Norton or McAfee, and that's the first thing usually that I recommend uninstalling. Because unless you're planning on buying it after 30 or 60 days, you don't want it on the machine there. The free Windows antivirus that comes with Windows, it's called Windows Defender, usually provides enough protection for most people. So you don't have to put in any other package. If you do want some additional protection or a few extra features there, usually your ISP, so if you have Xfinity or you have CenturyLink, you can go out to their website and download free copies of Norton or McAfee to install on your machine. So if you did want that, you can go out there and you can install that on the new machine. Otherwise, you can use the free Windows, which is already there, or there are also other free antivirus that we've talked about in the past, AVG and some other packages that are very good there. But this is your first decision on the new PC, is what am I going to use for antivirus? But like I mentioned here, you usually want to go through and uninstall the free version that came on the computer, because after 30 days or 60 days, it's going to pop up and say, this is expired. put in your credit card to continue your subscription. And again, I don't recommend that for anybody. You're not going to need that for anybody. Okay, the next thing after you've decided on the antivirus is go to your Windows settings window and update to install all the current updates. The fact that you have a new computer and it just arrived today doesn't mean that everything is up to date. In fact, I guarantee that everyone's computer needs updating when they first turn it on and run the setup. So you do need to update whether it's Windows or the drivers or the vendors software that's on there. All that has to be updated. This can take some time depending on the versions and the internet connection that you have installed, and your PC may reboot several times. I recommend turning off on Windows, turning off indexing or searching on all the hard drives to speed things up. You can do that very easily by opening up File Explorer, select the drive, right mouse click on it, select Properties, and uncheck the box at the bottom that says Allow files on the drive to have content indexed. Let's quickly go there. So I'm doing Windows E to bring up Explorer here. Now I can go down to the drive here. We'll go down to my C drive. I go to Properties. You'll see there's a checkbox down here, allow files on the drive to have their contents indexed in addition to file properties. If this is turned on by default, and it's meant to make it easier for you to search for things, but that search comes with a penalty, and that penalty is the operating system is constantly reading all these files on the hard drive. It's going into the Word documents. It's going into every single frickin' file on your computer and trying to pull out words in there that you may search for. 99% of the people don't need that capability. And if you do any kind of organization, you'll still be able to search for file names. This doesn't affect searching for file names. This only affects searching for content inside of files, and most of that information is not available to this search anyway, so it's a lot of overhead, and you'll see your computer is spending 20% of its CPU or more just going through your files and indexing them all the time. Yes, Chuck?
One of the things I found was very frustrating when I do searches. With this one, I've got everything indexed. I get search results back, and it's like, 20 pages of search results, and it's like meaningless search results. So anything that allow me to not have so many search results would be good. So I should probably turn that off on my computer.
Right. Chuck had mentioned that when he does a search today, and he has by default, this is turned on in your computer. So any new computer, any new drive, it's indexing it. And that's where you'll see, if you could see the hard disk light, it's constantly going out to the drive, reading each of the files and updating there.
If that's a default setting, you shut down the computer, and you totally shut down, will it automatically come back every time?
No, it doesn't come back. You turn it off, and it's off until you go back in here and turn it back on. So it is one time there. And Chuck had mentioned not only is it slowing down the machine, but if you do try and use it, it's kind of like doing a Google search where you end up with 1 million results. And is it really helping you? No. Yeah. We'll continue on, but I recommend turning this off. Again, the only thing that it hurts is when you're doing the search and that in there, and it's not hurting you when you're searching for file names. So if you use good file names or that'll still work fine. Okay, uninstall. PCs come today with lots of software. It's sometimes called crapware, bundledware, bagware. It's installed when you get the new machine. And vendors pay money to the manufacturers to have the software installed on their machines. Software vendors hope that after trying the software, you'll go and purchase it or buy other services from them. Many of the packages are limited to 30 or 90-day trials. You can go to the Windows settings, apps, and then the installed apps, and it'll show you the inventory, like we went out to earlier there. Well, we'll go out there again. Shows you the inventory of what's installed. You can then decide which programs to keep and which ones you don't care about. If you hover the mouse over the name, you'll get a little bit longer description that may help you. If not, you can still do a Google search to see what's out there. On my new computer, I went out and I uninstalled McAfee, Dropbox, ExpressVPN, Microsoft 365, and probably about 10 other packages. And let's see if we can get back out there. Did I keep that open? No, I didn't. Let me do this. So if we go to the Start menu, to the Settings, we'll go back out there to the Apps here. This will list all the apps that are on the computer here. Again, if I don't know, well, let's find something else. Cisco PEEP module. Well, they don't have a very good description. The description, when I hover over it, says the same name there. But if I didn't want this, I can click on here, and you'll see there's an option to uninstall. If you don't know what it does, do a Google search. You can find out what it is there. So you have that option. And because most of these things that are on here are free packages or that, if you do uninstall it and do find that you want it later on, you can download it again from the vendor site, whether it's Microsoft or other vendors there. You can download and install it, and so it's just because I installed something doesn't mean that I'll never have it on this computer again. Okay, let's go back here. Where am I? Where did I go here? Yeah, I guess we are on the next slide here. Excuse me. Okay, so now we get to the point of transferring your old data and software. This is where you want to restore or copy your backup that you did before in step 1. Whether it's an external drive, a cloud storage, or flash drive, put that out there. Install your external hardware and software devices using the drivers that you may have put in that new directory, new PC directory. So go through and install all of that. For your printer, again, you want to run that setup program. Don't just connect your printer. Run the setup program first, and that will tell you when to connect your printer. Because if you just plug in your printer, Windows will say, I see a new device out there, and it'll put in a little driver that'll let you print, usually let you print, but won't let you scan, won't have a window to let you control your scans and your other things there. Now's the time that you'd reinstall. You'd reinstall your software that you decided was worth keeping in step 1. Be sure to install any updates for each of them there. Document in the install.txt any special steps or instructions you needed to help you with the next time you get a new computer. So if you do run into glitches or problems or things that have to be done to get it to work, you want to document that so that it might save you the time and trouble next time. Now's a good point to back up that new PC. So after you've installed everything and you've installed the software, or at least make sure that you have it backed up, all the important data. Okay, some other tips. Keep the old PC around for at least a month. I know a lot of people, once they get a new computer, they want to copy things over, and then they immediately want to get rid of the old computer. But because you may have forgotten some things or need to look something up, a setting or a key or something like that, you want to keep the old computer around for, I recommend, at least a month there. When it comes time that you are done with the old computer, you want to reset the old PC, and that's to protect your data. Normally when you delete files, they go to the trash, they can be easily recovered. Excuse me. If you delete from the trash, the data on the hard drive can still be recovered as long as it hasn't been written over. So even data written over on a drive that has been reformatted can be recovered with specialized software and electronic equipment. If you really want to make sure that a file is completely destroyed and not available, I recommend a file or a program called File Shredder. It's a privacy tool. It'll wipe or destroy documents beyond recovery. File Shredder lets you use 5 different shredding algorithms, each one gradually stronger than the previous one to get rid of files forever. There's a new package out there that is called Eraser. I haven't used it, but it's gotten good reviews for also deleting files. A hammer and a drill can work. So yeah, there are ways to destroy, but if you're going to give it to kids or parents or a friend or sell it, then you want to make sure that your private data is safe and destroyed there. So yeah, here we talk about giving your old PC, if it isn't that old, if it's really old, nobody wants it. If it's 10 plus years old, nobody wants it. The thrift stores won't take it. Nobody will take it because you'd be running versions of operating systems that are no longer supported, and you'd be sitting target for a hacker or a scammer there. But you can sell if it's, let's say it's 3 years old, 5 years old, and you just bought the latest and greatest. You can sell, certainly computers are easy sells if they're new, anywhere from $50 to $500 on Facebook, Craigslist, garage sale, eBay. You can donate to charity. We do list a few places out on our website. I mentioned here most of the Goodwills and thrift stores won't even take PCs because most of the equipment that they get is so old that they end up having to throw it away because nobody's buying it. And here I mentioned if it is 10 plus years old, again, that's nobody really needs it there. Other tips, troubleshooting your new PC, Google search is a great there. You can usually find help, or if you're trying to install something and have a problem, you can usually Google it and find the answer there. But be careful. Some of the things that you'll see in a Google search, it may have you going into the registry and making these changes, and you can end up really in a pickle and in a bad spot there if you change the wrong thing. So be careful what you do here. I mentioned here, if you're having problems and stuff like that, you can always call the vendor. That's what the vendor's help or online chat is for, is to help you through, especially when you're getting that new computer set up. I mentioned here also, we talked about backing up the computer. Well, this is different than backing up the computer. You can create a restore point before making changes on your PC also. And so that's good to do. I mentioned here, I see a lot of people, especially with desktops, pushing desktops into corners or into next to a desk, and the ventilation is not adequate. So you want to make sure that the vents are clear and not blocked wherever you're putting your machine. What time do we have? Oh, 24. I'll quickly go over this. This is my experience from a new PC I had. On my old PC, I was using an old monitor, a 1920 by 1080. 1K monitor there, and it had a VGA connection. My new PC said that it had a VGA and several HDMI connections. When I got the PC, it only had a DVI video connection and HDMI. Didn't have a VGA. Luckily, for presentations and things like that, I have a converter that'll convert from an HDMI to a VGA, and I use that. Otherwise, I would have had to buy a new monitor. But it's something to be aware of if you're buying a computer. You probably have an older monitor. You may consider getting a new monitor at that time. I had bought and installed Office 2021 on my old computer, and talked about this back in November. What was it, $19.95 or $24 or something like that for Office 2021, and I installed it on my old computer. And so before I set up my new computer, I did a Google search, and it said that the way to move it to the new computer, the license to the new computer, was just uninstall it off of the old PC, then sign into the new PC, go to your Microsoft accounts. That's why it's important to have a Microsoft account, especially if you have Microsoft software. Sign into the Microsoft account. It'll show your software purchases along with an install link. I went there, did the install, and then it wanted the, I'm not sure if it prompted me for the activation code or not. I think it did prompt me for the activation code, and I had saved that when I bought the software. So I put that in. Everything was perfect there. Not so lucky with TurboTax 2022. I had put that on my old PC in November, and I had bought it from Amazon. It was just after, excuse me, it was Black Friday, a deal they had for TurboTax. Did a Google search, and it talked about going to your Amazon account page and doing the install. I went to my Amazon account page. It didn't show me any software that I had purchased, so there was no link to install. When I looked up the old email that when I had originally got the purchase and stuff like that, it had a link on it. I clicked on that, and it took me to a page to buy a new copy of TurboTax. Well, I wasn't looking to buy a new copy of TurboTax, so I went to the Amazon site and did a chat. The person had me do a few things. Excuse me, getting a little dry, but no luck. And he said, I need to buy a new copy or a new computer. And he could not help me. So he kept saying, you have to buy a new copy. You have to buy, and I kept saying, no, I can transfer it to the new computer. I asked to talk to his supervisor because it was not, I was not going to purchase a new copy. The supervisor had me look in my Amazon account for games and software purchases. I did not have any tab in my account, but he then told me to do an Amazon search, and there was an icon to link to my purchases. When I clicked on it, my TurboTax showed up, and I was able to install it without a problem. But it was a bit of a hassle that I wasn't expecting, but it kind of made me mad when the first Amazon support was just saying, buy a new copy, and I wasn't going to.
What was the difference between what you tried the very first time and then what worked in my purchases?
Yeah, the question was, what was the difference, or how did you get it to work? Well, I was attempting to look through the menus within Amazon. So there's all the menus in your account and stuff like that. Yeah, and I was going through those, and I would not see this option for what was it? Well, I couldn't see that. So he just had me do a search on the Amazon site for games and software purchases. That gave me a result of a link that then took me to my page, and it showed me a number of pieces of software over the last 10 years that I purchased from Amazon. So, yes, Chuck.
At one point, when you do that search, you want to do it in your search engine outside of Amazon. Don't look for it inside of Amazon. outside of Amazon, you're not gonna
I thought well, I'm not positive. Chuck is saying make sure and do it outside of Amazon. I believe I did it inside, but I could be
find it. There's a lot
wrong.
of things you can't find that way.
Yeah. Okay. Um, okay, we'll move on here. New keyboard that came with the computer has a number of speed keys for Windows settings, so that was a little bit different. Whether you keep that keyboard or your old one, that's kind of up to you. I found the new keyboard that came with my computer to be a smaller form factor keyboard, and it immediately threw me off. So I'm a touch typist and I go pretty fast and I was hitting the wrong keys, and after a couple days of that I said, even though it's got some nice controls on the keyboard that I didn't have on my old keyboard, I went back to my old keyboard because it was maybe inch and a half bigger than my new keyboard, and it's kind of like going from a laptop to a desktop. If you've ever, doing that a lot, you have problems.
And your old keyboard, your old machine and your new machine were both Windows 11?
My old machine was Windows 10. I had planned to keep my old desktop for maybe another year or two because Windows 10 will continue to get updates until 2025. However, this desktop started throwing hard disk errors. So at that point, yes, I could have put in a new hard disk, solid state or that, but I decided why stick money into my old machine? I wanted a Windows 11 machine. I found this Windows 11 machine and ended up getting the Windows 11 there. So I was going from 10 to 11.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Paula.
Okay, my question is how to install Google Chrome, and this is a HP PC. It's new to me. It was kind of wiped clean, and it's about 4.5 years old.
To install Chrome,
It doesn't have like anything else on it. I tried for about an hour and a half.
Let me-
Not much on.
Okay, let me first, I'm going to turn back on my video here just a second here. Let me get here.
There was a time when people said that was the only value of Internet Explorer was to be able to download Chrome.
Yes, and I tried that. I tried that, and it doesn't work.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Because is it that old that it's got Internet Explorer and not Edge?
Correct.
yeah, whatever browser is on there, whether it's the Internet Explorer or Edge, you can download.
I tried that on the Internet Explorer. I just couldn't get Internet Explorer to work. Okay.
Could you get it from Firefox?
Do you have a USB or a
If you go to another computer,
download it on another?
yeah, just on a flash drive, put it on a flash drive or another computer, and then bring it over. And if it's a 3M computer, you may just have to send it in an email or stuff like that. The setups for these is not the entire software package, so it's not like they aren't as big as you'd think they are, the package. So once you get the setup, then that will go out to the Google site to download there.
Okay, that's a good recommendation.
Yeah, normally what you do if you had, so when I got my new computer, I did go out to the Microsoft Edge, and the first thing that I did is downloaded Chrome there. And when I downloaded Chrome, then Chrome asked me to log in because I've used the syncing and all my bookmarks and everything was there.
Why didn't you download Windows 11 on your old computer?
My old computer was not capable of being upgraded to Windows 11. We talked before about it. Unless your computer is about 3 years old or newer, if you go into the Windows Update, you'll see. So if I go in here, go into the settings here, and if I go to Update and Security, if I can click, there we go. No. This PC currently doesn't meet minimum standard requirements for Windows 11, so it can't be updated to Windows 11. So this laptop, and that's what my desktop was old. This laptop is about 5 years old or 6 years old. It cannot be updated to Windows 11. When Microsoft stops doing security patches for Windows 10, which is 2025, I will not be using this device. So sometime before then, I will have to update. Yes, Jim.
So we're just updating to to a Windows 11 computer. The old desktop can't run Windows 11, it's Windows 10. Also running into hard drive errors, so that's another reason why I'm not going to bother to upgrade that one. It's going to go eat. But I had trouble with I could not read my external hard disk drive on the Windows 11, and contacted Toshiba, and they said it's not compatible. You can't use one that was formatted, even an external hard disk drive. I don't understand why, but they're saying an external hard disk drive from Windows 10 can't be used on a Windows 11 computer. But you didn't have an issue with yours.
I didn't have a problem with mine. I have heard of some people, their external drives are not compatible, or they have trouble with Windows 11. Some of that has to do with how your Windows is set up. And I'm talking sideways here. I better make sure I talk. Talk to the computer. What you have in one of the major features in Windows 11 is security and encryption. If you have security and encryption turned on, and that's usually by default what the operating system has, it is trying to protect you from other people accessing your drives and devices. Kind of like when 3M locked out flash drives and things like that. That's the same technology. It essentially says if this wasn't created here, it's an outside drive and potentially harmful to me. I'm not going to allow it here. So there are workarounds, whether it's in some cases reformatting the hard drive on the Windows 11 and that, but then you have to be careful, because if you do turn on encryption on that drive, then you won't be able to read it on the Windows 10 machine.
Yeah, and that was the whole point, was I've got all these files here, I'll just read them back off. So I ended up just doing a wireless link to transfer the files. But right now I can't use it on the new computer yet. I will eventually just reformat it and use it on the new computer.
Okay.
Tom, is there an option on any of these computers to restore it to your original factory settings? And if you do that, does that get rid of all the things that you've created, or must you do shredding of those things first?
Yeah, good question. Can you return it? And it's similar to the phones and tablets. So what you do is, if I go into my settings here, let's go back into the Windows Update, and you'll see here I have backup, troubleshooting, and let's see where. Yeah, recover. Excuse me. Thanks, Jim. I was just in here before. So this first option is exactly what you were asking about. If I was to give this machine, my old machine, to a family or anybody else, go in here and do reset this PC. Resetting the PC returns the machine to kind of its factory state. Gets rid of all accounts, gets rid of all data, gets rid of all software, to the point where the person who gets the machine, they have to go through setting up the machine from scratch. So there's no software on it. They'll have to do just like you did setting up your new computer or that. So that's the option there. The other option that I had mentioned too is you have the option of creating restore points. So if I knew I was going to do some fancy things to this computer and install some things and just wanted to cross my fingers in case I did have a problem, I can create a restore point, and then if I have a problem, I can go back to that restore point. So you can, Windows will attempt to do some of these things automatically. So whenever it installs a brand new update to Windows, it'll automatically create a restore point. But if you're going to put some software on that you think may cause some trouble, you can create your own restore point, install the software, and if you have a problem, the restore point, you have a pretty good chance that the restore point can get you back to working order there if you have a problem.
So if I use that first option to restore to factory, all the files like tax files and things, they're all gone.
All the files on the, yep.
You can keep personal files or delete them.
Yeah, it gives you the option when you initiate this whether you want to attempt to keep things or not keep things. But if you're going to give it to somebody, I recommend getting rid of everything, because I've known people that have given their kids stuff and then they'll forget about stuff that they had set up in the Chrome browser the Chrome browser had all their passwords and accounts in there. And so whenever they'd click on going out to this site, it automatically log them in with that. So if you're going to be giving it, you usually want to reset everything and delete everything there.
So if you have a lot of stuff stored in like OneDrive, that would be accessible on your new computer. You just have to go to your OneDrive account.
Right. Yeah, so OneDrive or anything up on the cloud, if you have it in Google or Microsoft or Dropbox or wherever, you just connect to that and everything's available. It's out there.
And when you do reset the PC, that has nothing to do with OneDrive.
Resetting will not do anything with your cloud storage. If you are storing your bookmarks, logging in Chrome or Edge and storing that information up on the cloud, it's not resetting any of that information up on the cloud there. And the reset, you'll see those options, whether it's an iPhone or an Android phone, same type of deal. If you're going to be giving your phone to somebody, you want to reset it. It will give you the option to get rid of all the data and all the software and the apps. The person getting it, it's as if they had just bought the phone. They have to put in their accounts. They have to decide which additional apps to install and photos or anything else that they want. Okay?
That's one other thing. When you actually have a computer like this, and if it is old, will Best Buy take it maybe, or?
Yeah, in terms of if you don't want it, there's a number of stores, Best Buy, Staples, Office Max, all of those now will take electronics. Best Buy in the past would tell you to take out the hard drive and destroy it or keep it or throw it in a fire pit or stuff like that. But there's many places that'll take it for free. They'll take keyboards, modems, printers, and your LCD monitors. If you have the old CRT monitors, the really old ones, those you usually have to pay money to recycle. If it's a newer laptop or things like that, we mention out on the website, there are some places that you can donate it. Also, in the past, we've talked a little bit about if you've got kids or are into any kind of a hobby there, you can take these machines and let's say we're in the year 2026. This is no longer getting updated. Windows is no longer getting updated. Well, don't use it. But I can load a Linux operating system on here. The Linux operating system would be probably twice as fast as what Windows is here. I can get out to the internet. I can watch YouTube. I can do 95% of what I'm doing in Windows, I can do in Linux. And it's really not that hard to convert this machine from a Windows to a Linux machine. So if you're into the hobby or have kids or things like that, I've taken about six laptops over the years, older laptops, and I put Linux on, and where my parents are in a senior living facility, I've given the machines then to people in the senior living facility, and it works great for them. They can do their Zoom calls, they can do their Google searches, they can get their email, they can do most everything there. So yeah, Linux or the machine itself, if it isn't too old, Linux is going to run fine. Linux will run fine on a machine with, there's different versions of Linux. It'll run fine on a machine with even 2 gigabytes of RAM and a slow CPU. So.
That might be a good topic for another meeting.
Wasn't too well attended.
The reason Jim says it wasn't too well attended, actually we had on our survey, and we don't get a lot of people who are interested in Linux, but we did we had a couple of members that said that they'd present if I would help them, and so it was a tag team with us in there, and we held it, and we had more presenters than we had people in the crowd. so the joke that we had is, well, maybe it's not that of an interesting topic. It's a little more interesting now, but it's also one of these cases of you have to kind of like the hobby aspect of it, because Linux isn't as user friendly as Windows or as a Macintosh. However, a lot of the stuff looks and operates very similar. It's just in different spots and different ways. So it's okay to use, if you're aware of its limitations there.
Yeah, you won't run Microsoft Office on it, but you can run other similar software.
Any other questions online or?
I've got a question.
Sure.
I've got home cloud, which shows up as a Z drive, copies of the keys. The last time I went and checked on that, it had invented yet another external drive called the Y drive, which is a duplicate of the Z drive. I never asked for it. How does this happen?
Yeah, the question was, the person has started seeing some drives show up on their systems, a Y drive, a Z drive, things like that. There's a couple of different ways that it can happen. One way is, let's say you have a flash drive and you plug it into your computer. By default, what your computer does is your computer identifies that this is a drive. It goes out to its list of drives and will assign a drive letter to it. When it assigns a drive letter to it, what you're supposed to do, which most people don't do, is you're never supposed to unplug anything without first going down here to the menu and telling it to disconnect. So if you just unplug it, frequently that'll leave the drive open and make the operating system thinks that it still has that drive out there. And that'll stay out there for a little while there. Eventually Windows will get rid of it after a week or a couple of weeks. You'll see it'll disappear there. But so that's one way. The other way to get other drives is if you start using cloud services and stuff like that, you can turn on drives to make some of those drives look like they're local drives on your machine. And the third way to do things is if I go Control E here, it's a case of, you're all familiar with drives and letters here. Well, I can take any directory in any area here. Let's say I wanted to take this GNU cache directory. I can assign it a drive letter and make it easier for me to get to that. So that's what's called a virtual drive. I didn't create a brand new hard drive. I created a virtual drive pointing to that directory on that disk drive, and now I can reference it as Z:\\, and I don't have to know that it's down 4 levels or where it's located. So there's kind of numerous ways there. And you can go into some of these and if you hover over it and then do the properties, it should tell you a little bit about where that drive is. If it's a virtual drive, if it's a network drive, if it's a local drive, and you also have other drives out here, because even on this laptop we see things like C and D. Well, here's a D out here. Well, this is showing up on this machine. A lot of machines you don't see the recovery drive at all on the hard drive. So a hard drive was broken up into multiple areas so that you could reset the machine. This is all the software and information to reset the C drive is on this D drive here. Okay, we've kind of gone over here a little bit, so unless there's another question, we'll call it end of the day, and we'll see you in June. I think we have the files, how to organize your files coming up in June, and then July we'll have the picnic and another topic there. So thanks for coming or attending, and we'll see you later.
Greenville outdoor dinner.